If you're feeling stretched, like you're still the glue, it might be time to ask, am I building for today or for the team I don't have yet? Most people, they don't build workflows. They build coping mechanism.
But if your system needs you to explain every step, it's not ready to grow with you. Let's get into today's episode. Hello. Welcome back to Behind the Workflow. This is the show where we untangle the real reasons creators feel stuck and tired and help you reconnect with what actually matters in your content process, but also when it comes to your workflow, breaking down your workflow and rebuilding it in a way that works best for you. My name is Simona Costantini.
And I'm Taly Melo.
And today we're going to be talking about why your workflow isn't ready to grow yet. Before we dive into this episode fully, we have to share with you that our founding member access is closing on June 16th. So what does it mean to be a founding member of Northflow? It means that you have first access to our very best pricing when the product goes paid, that you have a hand in shaping the future of Northflow, and that you get to access Northflow for free right now so you can start to build out your workflow and build out your show within our system. Head over to northflow.io. The link is in the episode notes below. And with that, let's actually get into our episode today. What we're going to do in this episode is a little bit different. So we have a whole bunch of categories and reasons why your workflow isn't ready to grow yet. And we're going to just dive into each category. And I'm going to read Taly a statement, and Taly is going to live react to the statement, and then we're going to talk about it. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready to go?
Yes. I'll try my best live reaction. Let's go though.
I love it so much. My favorite part about recording this podcast, Taly, is that so I have to just side note add this in because we're going to be a little conversational for a second. I was at an event last weekend. It was a women in business event, and the two people that opened up the session, they were like the keynote, I guess, of the day. They opened up, and one of the girls reminded me a little bit of me, and the other one reminded me a little bit of you, in that the other one was, the other girl was so prepared and she had her like talking points and she had like everything organized and whatever. And the other one was like, hey, hi. And I feel like that's like the perfect representation of us because you bring so much like structure and streamline and process to us. And I'm just like, I'm going to throw you a curveball and we're going to talk about something totally off script. And you're always forever rolling with it. So I really appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. I do love like data and structure, but sometimes it's okay to just take a step back and just talk through it, right?
Exactly. And you know what? I think it shows too that no matter what type of show that you do, there really is no right or wrong way. That's a whole other topic that we can get into. But okay, if you are ready, I am ready. Ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first one is delegation bottlenecks. So the statement is, I can't hire help because I'd have to teach everything from scratch.
So on this one, I'm just thinking like the process is basically living on that person's head, right? Mm-hmm. Like they don't really have a system down.
I totally agree with you. And I think that this is where having things like templates or processes or SOPs or something that's going to keep you streamlined will make it so much easier instead of having to teach everything from scratch, brand new. Like I remember every single time I've brought someone new on my team, it could be really stressful because I didn't have SOPs at the time. And we've started building them out since, but trying to teach someone something from scratch, it can be very, very, very overwhelming. But yeah, you're totally accurate in that. Is there anything else you want to add for that one?
Basically, training takes too much or is skipped entirely, right? In some cases, which could result like in errors and also like possibly missed deadlines depending on how good the people are like trying to catch up, right? And also, I think this could come in a bit of a micromanagement, which at the end of the day could cause a bit of a bottleneck. Don't you agree?
1000%. And I'm not someone personally in my agency who like micromanages things. Like I really like to hire people into their strengths and let people just take, the role and go. But that can also be a little bit challenging too, because when you do that and people just take whatever it is that they're doing and they roll with it, it can be hard because it's like they grow and they evolve into their role, which is amazing. But then it's like, how would you ever teach that to somebody new? So with this statement, like, I can't hire help because I'd have to teach everything from scratch, is a huge problem, right? Like you need to have some kind of process. You need to have some kind of SOP. You need to have some kind of understanding of what you're creating so that you can teach that to somebody else. Because then once you do that, oh my gosh, the freedom from there is amazing.
Yeah, and also like we did an internal survey, and basically 3 out of 4 of the producers we actually spoke with, they said that they avoid hiring help just because like the training, sometimes it feels like they could just do it quicker, right? Like instead of training someone to do it, they would just go in, jump in, and do it quicker. But what they're not thinking here is if they have like some type of template or a workflow in place, they don't have to do the full training. They just explain to the person that's going to come in and be part of that company that, hey, just follow these steps. First time might be a little tricky, but if every time we do the same steps, you will get it. And it would just take a little bit of time, but you will get it down very soon.
I love that. I think that's so important to remember. And I think there's so much that you can pull out of here. And I think that there's so many really, really, really good takeaways in this part specifically. And I'm actually, when you said the stat about how many people don't want to hire help, my jaw was a little bit on the floor because I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of people. And the challenge with that is like you don't actually know the freedom that you will have and the time freedom that you will have when you have a system and a process that is working for you. So whether it's hiring out an editor or having a software that does all of the heavy lifting for you, taking all of that out of your brain and not having it like live in your brain constantly actually alleviates a lot of stress because you don't have these little things that you're thinking about all the time. So then, Taly, this could bring us to our next one, which is onboarding overload. So I'm going to read you a new one. Okay. I lose a full day just getting a new team member up to speed. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe that because I've been through there. I've been through that. Onboarding, oh goodness, onboarding. I believe as an agency owner that and when I say an agency owner, I personally don't have a podcast agency, but I do have an agency that does design and development. And the onboarding, I think across every industry will probably be the same. It takes a long time. But again, I go back to SOPs here because if you have a whole file like, hey, if you have this question or if you're trying to accomplish this, just go through the list of what you need to do. And then if you still need help after that, then you reach out to someone. And most people nowadays, like we're so used to working remotely that we're pretty good about like following instructions when it comes like to a list of like to-dos. And also to bring Northflow a little bit into this, we have like checklists, right? So that is very helpful. When you create a template, you can actually create a checklist so that person knows they're not missing any steps on that specific task.
I completely agree with you. And the thought that comes to mind for me is that yes, you might lose a full day getting a new team member up to speed. And just like, yes, you may lose a full day trying to figure out how to streamline your processes and your SOPs, but after that one day, everything that happens after that is life changing, right? Because you might spend the time now to get the system and the process up and running for the future. But once you do that, then you don't have to worry about the headache that is going to come afterwards. You know what I mean? Because you've already dealt with it.
Yes. Yes. And just the fact that you know that you have a process in place, and if someone would just jump in and actually go through the process, they'll be able to get through it without having to rely on a walkthrough from you, without having to wait on that. They could see what's going on, see what's next, and work on it.
Exactly, exactly. So then this could actually go into our next one that I was going to read you, which is disjointed tool chaos. Okay. This one is I use so many different tools to get my podcast produced. Thoughts?
Yes. Well, this actually reminds me of something that I saw the other day. A while back, whenever we started these, just the demos and like just talking to people, really like our R&D, we had people that were really open and they were sharing like their whole process with us. And this sweet lady, she shared her screen and I was just like, oh my goodness, I would go insane if I had to do what she's doing right now, because literally she had 5 different tools that she was jumping from. And and I'm not even making this up, like this is real life. And I just felt so bad for her because the way that she had her agency structure, she was letting her all of her clients dictate which system they wanted to use, so
My
she didn't
gosh.
have like an internal process. It was just like whatever the client wants, I'll just do it. And I think this is where you have to be like really good with your internal process to, so the client can see like what benefits you bring in with your current process at the moment, instead of
Mm-hmm.
just allowing them to bring whatever they've been doing. Because if they came to you, something is not working, so you should
Exactly.
put them within your process instead of just allowing them to take you with whatever flow they have going on.
1000%. I have so many things to add to what you're saying. The first thing that's coming to mind for me is that you don't know how chaotic your process is until you have a process that is not chaotic. Okay. So it can be easy to think, okay, I'm going to patch my Trello with my ClickUp and Excel spreadsheets, and I'm going to send everything through email, and I'm going to put everything in the Google Drive. But for some clients, I might use WeTransfer or Dropbox or Box or like whatever the software is that you're going to use, right? But then what happens when a client has edits? And then so client number one now is giving you edits through email. Client number two is giving you edits through Trello. Client number three is giving you edits through ClickUp. Some people are
Yeah.
messaging on WhatsApp. Some people are messaging on Voxer. Some people are messaging through email. How do you keep track of all of those things? So we talk about creator overwhelm, agency owner overwhelm, podcaster overwhelm. But if you're doing all of these things and communicating with your clients, with your team on all these different platforms, how is that jointed? You know what I mean? Like this is such a
Yeah.
broken process. But you know what, Taly, and I feel like I'm speaking to myself when I say this. It can feel overwhelming to move from one process to another. But what's even more overwhelming is staying in the same thing over and over and over again in the same day, doing, you know what I mean? Like doing the same thing all
Yeah.
the time. Whereas if you take a minute to transfer everything over into a platform that streamlines everything for you and you don't have to patchwork all of these different things together, it's absolutely mind blowing. And sometimes the thought of having to change over is more overwhelming than the actual action of doing it, right? We're such creatures of habit. We get so used to what we're doing, but it's like, really take a second. Is what you're doing working? Does your process actually work for you?
And then one thing too, like if you're not to the point that you're hiring people, you need to like really think like a leader here. Like
Yeah.
you don't need a full team to build like a leader, right? You just need clarity and also a system that will support it.
I 100% agree with you. So then if you think about systems and then you think about scaling, how do you scale without having a system in place? So this is the next one that I'm going to read to you.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many new clients that I'm bringing on, but my system feels broken and everything feels overwhelming.
Yeah, so to me, more clients should mean more revenue, right? So,
You would
but
hope.
definitely not more anxiety and not more lost nights because you don't have a system in place. But
Mhm.
if your system like doesn't grow as you're growing your client list, your team ends up doing double duty just to keep up, right? Not just your team, of course, you are also part of that. So I actually have stats for this because I love
I love
stats.
it.
One agency owner, they actually told us they doubled their clients in 6 months, which is amazing.
That's
But
fantastic.
also, they doubled their missed deadlines. So,
You
yeah,
know
so it
what?
was not that great. But hold on, listen to this. Since switching to a systemized workflow, they actually cut late deliveries by 75%. And
Wow.
yeah. So, and I think this doesn't just apply for the podcast industry, it's just an agency overall. Because if you have like that system in place, you know, whenever you onboard a client, exactly what's going to happen, how you're going to handle all of those onboarding calls that you have to do, how you're going to handle getting all of their assets. If you have a system, a template in place, a workflow that makes sense, things would just flow a lot smoother. You don't have to be doing all of those back and forward, and, you know, hopefully you're not having to miss any deadlines anymore.
I completely agree with you. And that's amazing. Like, I love that that person was able to turn it around, because I've taken over some shows from past producers where people would deliver the content that was going live on the day of it going live. So if the episode was going live on a Wednesday, they would, I'm like, what? Like, how do you do that? Like, the anxiety that I would have, the stress that would live rent free in my head, I could never. And like, that to me is the perfect example of not having a tight system, because if you can't deliver the content at least 5 days in advance, or at least by the Friday before it goes live, there's a problem, in my opinion.
Yes.
So Taly, we've talked a lot about why your workflow isn't ready to grow yet, but why don't we leave our listener today with a few key takeaways?
Yes. So if your process is in your head, it's not ready to be handed off. So keep that in mind. How can you fix that? Lack of SOPs, it just creates bottlenecks. So what works for you won't work for your team without a documentation. So also make sure you are aware of that. And then onboarding shouldn't eat a whole day of work. A clear system should get new hires up to speed real quick, real fast. And then tool sprawl equals chaos. If you're bouncing between, let's say, 6 platforms, no one knows what's done and what's next, what kind of message you guys didn't answer. And then scaling your clients without scaling your workflows, it's just going to lead you to burnout. Another thing too, Simona, all of these insights, they actually came straight from the people that we built Northflow with. This time of the year, it's actually pretty special because we're about to open up Northflow for reals, and I'll let you take over and do your part here, Simona.
Sounds good. So all of the things that we talked about today could be solved with Northflow. And before you jump off or press pause on this episode or tune out, I really want you to think about how could you benefit from having a reusable template that you can plug and play every single time, but that you can also customize for each client that you have or every show that you run. You can also assign tasks with deadlines, give people clear roles, and also look at your process in Kanban stages. We also have all kinds of different views. You can view it in a calendar, in a card view or format like you would on Trello, list view like you would on ClickUp. So we've really thought about all the different ways that people love to view their process and how they like to run it. So just think about how much easier it would be for you if everything was already there for you and templated. But also you can invite collaborators and clients without needing logins. Now this is huge, right? Because no one ever wants, especially from like a client experience point of view, you don't want your client to have to go and create an account and go through the hassle and all this stuff, right? They can just access what they need to see, what they need to review, and give you feedback directly on the link that you send them, okay? So this creates way less chaos. It removes the bottleneck of getting approvals from clients. And also they have everything they need in one spot. But the best part though is that you can track your whole content plan in one place with our calendar view and also with our podcast production schedule. So you can plan your seasons, you can plan your year out, you can plan your quarter, and the whole system talks to each other. Okay. So I really want you to think about how much better your life would be, how much more time you would save, how much more energy you would save, and how you could take your brain power and put it into other places instead of having to figure out what you're going to do next, what you're going to create next. So as Taly was mentioning, we're officially out of our beta stage and our access to becoming a founding member closes June 16th. Now, here's what being a founding member means. Being a founding member is being in Northflow before we actually launch pricing, okay? Before we go paid. And so this means by you being a founding member and requesting access to the platform, you will automatically get the very best pricing Northflow will ever offer right off the bat. But not only that though, you do get to trial it first. So you can go in, you can create an episode, you can import a show, you can start to set up a template. You can do all of these different things right off the bat. So being a founding member gives you those perks, and also your feedback continues to shape the product. So please go to northflow.io, request access to claim your spot so you can start building a workflow that grows with you. Taly, anything else you want to add before I close it out?
So yes, Simona, this launch to everyone here at Northflow, it's not just a milestone or a date in the calendar. It's actually a thank you. And it's a thank you to every single person that we talk to, all of the producers, the podcast agency owners, all of the solo podcasters that we talk to, podcast managers. And they were vulnerable. They opened up the process to us. They showed like their messy desktop in some cases, and even the middle of like their day-to-day operations. And even though it was not polished, it was not perfect, but it was real. And you, the ones that helped us, you actually shared the chaos and the behind the curtain, and you trusted us with your pain points, and you helped us build something better together. And we're not done yet. We're just out of beta, but we still have a long way to go, and we're going to continue to build alongside the community. And that's one of the things that makes me want to continue to work on Northflow every day.
That's so beautiful. And you know what? It is, honestly, I have to say, for launching a new product, like I've seen a lot of newer products and how people have them in different phases and so on. And like Northflow is a product that I know we always do more things and we'll always add to it and so on, but it is very complete in how it is right now. You know what I mean? Like it is very possible for you to take your workflow and plug and play directly into it right now without having any issues. So I highly recommend that you go to northflow.io. The link is in the episode notes below as well. And thank you so much to all of our founding members and all of the new ones that we're going to welcome in over the next week or so. We really appreciate you, and we will see you next time behind the workflow.